Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Poker Face Episode 6, Exit Stage Death. This was directed by Ben Sinclair and written by Chris Downey. Before I jump into this review, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 30k subscribers before the end of March to get that Rotten Tomatoes approval. It would really help in so many ways. If you could share these reviews as well, anyone out there watching, it'd really help. And you can also follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. Now, jumping into this review, I'm a huge fan of Tim Meadows, so I was happy to see him in an episode of this show, and he plays Michael. We have Ellen Barkin playing Kathleen, Jameela Jamil, who is playing Ava, and Audrey Corsa playing Rebecca. And we gotta understand about this episode right away is like they're really leaning into the struggling actor, the actor who feels like they're a has-been or not doing something they really want to be represented by that's not true to their art. And I really like how they earn this relationship with Michael and Kathleen, in that when we see Kathleen goes to see Michael, they used to be in a show together, Spooky and the Cop, and Kathleen, by her wanting Michael to do the play with her, The Ghost of Pensacola, which is totally, making a jest at all of the Tennessee Williams plays that you do in acting classes. She's trying to bring out the artist in Michael. Do you want to be remembered for this show or for that fire you used to have that we had together, right? So these little things are also hinting that they had more than just acted together, that they had this bond before they started fighting at a time. And they're making clear from the start that his current wife, Ava, she pays for everything. It's through her. She's self-made and has nothing to do with him. And that would hurt his pride. And you see that we learn that Ava was actually the one who encouraged Michael to go and do this. But we learn later on when Ava's talking to Kathleen that she really just said that to get the acting bug out of his head and to be so turned off by acting because of Kathleen. But she was so wrong, because he actually loves Kathleen and he does have such a love for the art of acting. I also like how accurate this was to the relationship of entertainers that are in the TikTok generation compared to the boomer generation, and that, you got the jokes with Kathleen saying this isn't TikTok, baby, to the actress Rebecca here, and that is just ironic that later on Kathleen's all excited about trending after killing Ava. Now, a lot of things here work for me too. I always love, again, how they will have one moment or sound that hints at Charlie. You're trying to figure out where Charlie is when we're seeing the murder happen. And I like that during one of the rehearsals, we hear the ice being poured and Kathleen yell at her, but we don't see Charlie, but we'll find out later that that was Charlie. Now, what I really liked is how, for us, the audience watching the show, that they made it seem like Kathleen and Michael were going to kill each other. And it worked well because it blended into what they're actually trying to do in the show, which was trying to stage that they hated each other, right? There's no way they could work together to kill poor Ava. So that was really interesting technique, and it also was to fool the staff as well, because they purposely had it playing over the speaker. And the audience at the theater, they would hear it in their hearing aid. And I also love the split diopter shot that was showing between Michael and Kathleen before they actually commit the murder at the end of their argument. I thought that was a nice touch. And Ava will be the one who's the victim of the trap door. She was actually running up to give him his pills. And then we get the reveal they did it together and that they are in love. Now, that's where it cuts to Charlie, which I did think was bizarre. They didn't use the Charlie theme music that we've heard almost, I think, in every episode so far when we first see her, just to kind of change after something tragic to go to switch the mood and that relief that Charlie's coming in to save the day. They didn't play it here, which was strange to me. And I've said this in other reviews, but I don't like when they don't give any little hint about what's going on with Cliff and that situation, and that there wasn't that push for her this episode, because we know she's been here at least 3 weeks. So I just want some clarification how she's so comfortable, not paranoid at all about that situation. I just want something to touch base each episode, just to keep honoring that main story, where this one really feels like you could play it at any time, which is fine. But I like the consistency to happen here, where it would be her theme music and a hint at what's going on with Cliff to give more pressure to Charlie and moving the time along. Just adds more suspense to it. I love, though, the Hamilton ripoff show at this dinner theater. Frankly, Franklin, the show does a good job of just dropping things like that make you laugh. But what I thought was interesting was the way they used Charlie's lie detector skill. She's this human lie detector, and that she's giving the highest compliment from someone like her about Patrick Swayze's performance in Roadhouse, Jennifer Jason Leigh in Single White Female, and Christian Slater in True Romance. So, Chris Downey, who wrote this episode, is praising those performances for sure, but also she's saying that's truth, and that Kathleen doesn't have that, right? That she's not believing a word she says on stage, but that comes back full circle, because Charlie will later on notice that when she says I love you to Michael on stage, that there's truth there, that, oh my God, she really does love Michael. And then the last scene of the episode, when she goes through the trap door, that it's her final monologue, and Charlie is brought to tears because she knows there's full truth in that and her becoming this ghost. So to me, I read that as Kathleen actually did have that mat removed downstairs, and that she killed herself in that trapdoor before the police could get her, and that's why Charlie was crying. But I thought that really all tied well together in a clever way to use the truth telling and how you would judge a performance. And little things they kind of throw in there too, you got to catch, and how they got away with all this was that Phil passed out, not because of just Jack Daniels, because Kathleen had put Ambien in his drink. So they would pin it on Phil. And also you see that Kathleen and Michael's original plan was to leave town after this murder and then come back a year later and reemerge as lovers, which was the better plan. It would have worked and they would have got away with it. But they didn't do that. She wanted to strike while it's hot and do an encore performance. Now, what I really thought was clever too is that Rebecca, in the true art, and like they're again doing these passionate actors who put acting over everything, right? That Rebecca is the one who figured this out even before Charlie, which threw me off for a second. And it was through the argument they had in the notes Michael was reading. And she says the dialogue was from an episode of Spooky the Cop, Exit Stage Death, which is the title of this episode. But Rebecca doesn't report this. She just blackmails him and wants money, so she's almost no better here. And she also mentions, don't upstage me again, which was just hysterical. And now why I love that is because it pays off later when Charlie goes to save Rebecca, which is another great scene because Charlie starts acting in the play as the ghost. But once Rebecca figures out they just tried to kill her, she just then keeps acting and in the character wants double the money now, which is hysterical that that's how they're debating with each other and that the show must go on, these three crazy people. But I really did like too that Charlie was figuring it out while they were doing their performance, talking to Kathleen through the fridge and the window, and then figuring out the dry ice burnt hands Michael had that she'd figured out from touching the dry ice herself. And Charlie gets the win here by placing one of the microphones into the dressing room and catches them in their lie. And we get, I just mentioned, the whole monologue of Kathleen at the end. And I believe again that there wasn't a mat there and that she did kill herself. But I'm sure you guys read that scene. So I was actually really impressed by this episode. I noticed it had the lowest score on IMDb so far, the episodes. I don't think a lot of people like this one, but I actually disagree on that. I think this is one of the better episodes of the season. I'm going to give it an 8.7. I thought it was just strong in the sense of if you really know hardcore actors and people who put the art over everything, it really was true to that. I thought it was clever in a lot of ways, and I thought it had a lot of funny moments too, and it was a shorter episode. And I did have problems too, again, where it didn't really keep the motifs going with the music and having Charlie being chased. That's fine. That's not like a big criticism. It's a little thing, but I still enjoyed it, and I still thought it was probably so far top 3 episode, with still my favorites being episode 3, and of course the last episode was spectacular. But I still thought this was really good, and I thought there was all great performances all around too. And I think this show so far, we're at the halfway point, is just great. I think it's really enjoyable. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it again is just worth your time and is exciting and fresh show to be enjoying right now, and just fits something I feel like I haven't seen in a while like this. Let me know what you thought down below. I'll have my review of episode 7 out tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. Please subscribe. Again, I'm doing every episode of Poker Face. Please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And I'll see you next time.